Oh, hey Kevin. While we wait for the new taco machine to get installed, what movie were we going to do next?
Let's see here. It looks like this has this black slime across
Ooh,
Venom.
Venom,
Like, as in Spider-Man Venom?
loosely.
Guys,
Yeah.
guys. I have an idea. We need to get Branson on the show, like right now.
Okay.
Let me beam him up from the comic book district right now. I don't care if he's washing his toes or in the shower or whatever. We need to get. Is this the button right here
Nope.
to right there?
Nope.
When you push the...
No! John,
Yeah,
what did you do?
I pushed that button to bring to get
Do you see Branson?
Branson. No, I
Do you know what else we don't see anymore?
There's the taco machine.
Come
In
on.
space.
Why?
Are you ready to discover a world of terrible movies? High above the planet Geekery, three brave individuals, with the help of other friends, work through a list of terrible movies to discover one simple truth. Are they better than people think? Or do they really belong on the bottom shelf? Grab your popcorn, grab your favorite snack, and get ready to find out.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to The Bottom Shelf. This is the show where we watch critically terrible films so you don't have to. The Bottom Shelf is an extension of the Geek Devotions, the show from devoted geeks who are devoted to letting people know that they are loved. So if you don't watch past this moment, know this: you are loved, you are cared for, and there's a plan and purpose for your life. That said, I am your DM this evening. John, how are you?
Wrong show.
Oh, wait.
This is not playing games with strangers.
It's always playing games.
Check
with
the links down
strangers.
below.
Hey. All right. With us this week, we have a special guest, my hetero house husband number 2. What is up, Branson Boykin?
Hey, how's it going, guys? I apologize that my toes are so dirty. I kind of got beamed up in the middle of a toe washing.
Well, I mean, it could have been worse. We could have jettisoned you with the taco machine.
I
That was an
appreciate
option.
that. Thank
That was
you.
an option. Thankfully, Kevin put that just to the side.
Yeah.
That being said, that other voice you're hearing is the man, the myth, the legend, Dallas Mora, hetero house husband number 1.
What's going on, guys? Branson, so glad to have you aboard the ship. I'm glad you made it safely. If you look out to the left, you'll see not one, not two, but 3 taco machines orbiting the station, none of which are accessible anymore thanks to a certain individual.
What is y'all's deal with tacos, man?
Well, we like tacos. The problem is keeping the machine in the building.
Yeah, I can see that.
And then the quiet one whose wrath that you're not hearing yet is our favorite angry Irishman, Kevin Burnham. How you doing?
I'm okay.
Kevin, are you
I'm
excited
okay.
about this
What else
movie?
do you want?
He's still processing the missing taco machine.
Yeah, because I was actually hungry.
Like, we just got this in, Branson. Like, it just came in. Like, we launched the last one in space right as because apparently Kroll is a terrible video game, and the last one came with Kroll the video game, and John didn't care for that.
I did you a favor. Like I said, that video game causes cancer.
Well, deep space causes lifelessness, so I can't get a taco out there.
You know what else causes cancer? Never mind.
That was so witty, Kevin. Thank you for that bit of exposition that you bring to the show. That's why you get the big bucks, sir.
Wait, you guys are
Yeah.
paid?
Yeah.
Shh, we weren't supposed to talk about that.
I run the show, and I'm not even paid.
Well, we used to pay you in tacos, but
I think I'm being punished. Kevin, what are we doing today?
That's a great question.
Oh, we're doing something. Oh, yeah, I forgot. Yeah, since I'm just admiring Branson's dirty legs and toes for some odd reason. Like he needs a soap bars.
They are very admirable legs. I'm just saying.
Thank you.
Must be all those squats he does. Anyhow,
His wife appreciates
so
him.
we are reviewing the movie Venom, but you know what? I just want to let you know that there was something attached right next to this Venom. It's a audio cassette tape, and I really want to play it. Can I play it? Can we play it? I want to see what it is. Okay.
I don't know. We had a tape deck on the machine.
Yeah, it's on the side of the machine that John doesn't know. So let's see. It puts this in and hit play. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Hey.
All right.
Who hit the stop button? Why'd you hit the stop button?
I'm so confused as to what we're doing now. Like, not even on script. Like, I am so confused as a person.
I guess we're gonna play one of the Venom movies. Let's try this one. Venom. This was directed from the director of Zombieland. Zombieland Double Tap comes as Marvel film knockoff. It stars the English but not English enough for James Bond Tom Hardy. Has Dawson's Creek Michelle Williams, British rapper Riz Ahmed, and the downplayed Jenny Slate. It's heavily edited by Eminem for his song Venom. It also has the music by Ludwig Göransson, that Swedish guy who does the music for The Mandalorian, Tenet, and Black Panther.
Oh, I thought you were saying that it had music by Lou Ferrigno. I'm like, that guy's deaf, dude. What are you talking about?
Hey, so
actually,
is Beethoven.
He can start hearing now because he now has his ears opened through some surgery. And
cochlear
it's a lot
implants.
Yeah, well,
That's cool.
They open his ear canals or something. Anyways, it is also produced by Avi Arad, who has been involved in every single Spider-Man movie that has ever been made, and executive produced by Tom Hardy and the late Stan Lee.
Wait, Tom Hardy actually produced this?
Yeah, executive produced.
I didn't know that.
Dude, never mind. That's a question for after we've watched it. Because we haven't watched it yet.
Oh, I watched this before I was on the ship, and then somehow I see it in this rubbish bin for some odd reason.
Indeed. Huh?
Why was it in the rubbish bin? Do we have... Now you got me talking like an Irishman. Rubbish bin. Why was it in the dumpster?
Because there were so many critics who hated on this film. I mean, it wasn't just a few critics. It was almost every critic who ever watched this movie, and diehard fanboys, because diehard fanboys hate everything in their life, including their mums.
Is that true, Branson? Do you hate your mother?
No, I love my mother very much, actually.
Well, he's special. He's not like the rest
I will
of the
say that the
ones out there.
Metacritic has it as listed as a 35 and a 6.3.
Oof.
That's why it qualifies for the bottom shelf.
All right.
So, Kevin, wipe away that slime. There's some warning labels on that. What are those warning labels? Let me see this.
Oh, yeah, let me see. Wipe this off. Huh.
Oh.
You guys want to read this? Because I don't want to touch this anymore.
Yeah, let me see this.
Gotcha.
This is gross. I was here. Warning, the Eminem song was better than the movie. Oh, okay. Here, John, take this.
This one's for you, Branson. Warning, Spider-Man not included with the film.
And now I know why it's on the bottom shelf.
What?
Okay, let's see. What does the next one say? May cause you to be a turd in the wind. Yeah, I don't know what that means. Here, take it. I feel like I have to wash my hands now.
Why are we
along
playing
with my
past the
toes.
slime? Warning, anti-venom advised. That was a good book. Here, take this, John.
Warning, this is a 90s edgelord movie made 20 years too late.
Okay.
As a 90s edgelord, I take so much offense to that. Here, I'll just hold this for you, Branson, so you don't have to soil your hands again.
Thank you. Let's see. Sometimes you won't be able to tell who is who. Well, I know who is.
The
Do you
Who.
know
They made,
Who's on first?
He's on first, right?
No, they made an album called Quadrophenia and Tommy.
Not
and,
that who, John. Not
What?
that who.
Oh, that's second.
Yeah.
No, I'm pretty
Third
sure
base.
this is Horton's who, right?
Doctor?
or was it I was about to say, is it a doctor?
Yeah.
John, do you have any trivia for us on this film?
You know, you ask me, and when I'm put on the spot, I can never think of anything immediate. It's just like if I have it, it's going to come up in conversation because
Okay. Because you don't
If you
prepare.
have it. What do you have?
I have syphilis, Kevin. I thank you so much for bringing that to everybody's attention.
You're welcome. You're the one.
I hear
You could have
this
said
black
anything
slime
else.
will help it.
This black slime will help it.
All right, what are our expectations for the movie? Kevin, you first.
It's a Marvel film. It's a go. It has to be top shelf. It's Marvel. How can you go wrong with Marvel?
Is it a Marvel film? 'Cause
Yes.
It's not Disney.
It's almost Marvel. It's Sony, but
It's Sony in association with Marvel. I don't think it's officially part of the MCU.
Well, now it is.
How do you know?
Can we talk about that? Is that allowed? Are we?
Yeah, well, 2-week spoiler ban. That's all we have.
Okay, yeah. Well, at the time that it was filmed, it wasn't part of the MCU.
It was MCU adjacent.
It was MCU adjacent, yes.
So yeah, so it is, but it's not Marvel.
Yeah.
I guess it's now Marvel because after Disney saw, it's like, hey, I'm now your lord. Give you my tithe.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So, John,
Yeah.
what is your expectation going into seeing the film?
I'm fairly ambivalent about it. When it
Good
comes
word.
to what's that?
Ambivalent. Good word.
Yeah.
The word of the day.
When it comes to Venom, he's one of my favorite anti-heroes in the Marvel universe.
Mhm.
So it's like part of me wants to be excited for it, but in the same sense, Disney has oversaturated the superhero movie market so badly because that's what Disney does is they oversaturate the market and milk the cash cow to death, and then they kill the cash cow and have a barbecue.
Who are you calling a cash cow? You watch your mouth, John.
So it's like I'm walking into it. It's just like I want to be excited about it, but in the same sense, it's just I'm just exhausted looking at it.
Right. I get that.
It's probably
I
because
totally
of all
get
that slime on it. That's why.
Is it moving?
Yeah.
Okay. It's not good. Branson,
Dude, I am down to be a symbiote. I'm just gonna put it that.
I feel like that's your
There's
next
so many-
band name.
There's so many people I would visit. I'm just saying.
Branson, what's your expectations going to see the film?
I'm waiting with hesitation because, as was alluded to earlier, I'm a big Spider-Man fan.
Yes.
So the fact that, unless there's some scenes that I'm not aware of going into it, the fact that they've kind of removed Spider-Man from the origin makes me a little hesitant. I
Right.
honestly don't know how you can tell a Venom story without Spider-Man.
Mhm.
But if it manages to replace Topher Grace as Venom, I will be thankful.
I am actually super curious to see how they do this without Spider-Man in it too.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, go ahead, Branson, explain to us why Spider-Man is necessary.
Oh, okay.
Just set us
Now
up
let's
for the
mo-
movie.
Oh, okay. In the original comics, Spider-Man went to Battleworld by the calling of the Beyonder in the miniseries Secret Wars. While in that adventure, his suit gets ripped up, and he goes to what he thinks is an intergalactic tailor machine to make him a new costume. Well, what it actually does is it gives him this black goo that becomes his black suit.
Literally poops it out.
Yeah. There's like this black sphere, and it crawls all over him. So he comes back from Battleworld, back from Secret Wars, swinging around. He's got his new black suit, and he really likes it because it morphs into clothes. It responds to his mental commands. It produces its own webbing, so he never has to worry about running out of webbing. Everything seems to be really good, but he notices that things get really weird with it. Like it'll put itself on his body and take him on late night web swinging sessions while he's still asleep. It'll control him. He feels his negative emotions becoming more heightened. He's having a harder time controlling his dark side.
Does he have those sweet dance moves like in Spider-Man 3?
We don't speak of the dance in Spider-Man 3. I gotta be honest. I'm surprised that we're looking at Venom and not Spider-Man 3. If we're going to talk about a Venom movie that should be on the bottom shelf, we ought to be looking at Spider-Man 3. But that's for another day.
I'm going to tell you right now, this is more of a Venom movie than Spider-Man 3.
Yes. It doesn't take much. It doesn't take much. The absence of Topher Grace would make this more of a Venom movie than Spider-Man 3. The absence of a dance number would make this more of a Venom movie than Spider-Man 3. But
Man,
I
I
digress.
love that dance number.
Anyhow, long story short, Peter Parker finds out that it is actually a living thing and it's feeding off of his negative emotions. He has a really dramatic scene in a bell tower where he removes it. The symbiote slithers around, finds a new host in Eddie Brock. Eddie Brock is a ruined newspaper reporter who blames Spider-Man for every bad thing in his life.
That happened in Spider-Man 3.
Yes. Yes. He blames Spider-Man for everything. The symbiote blames Spider-Man for everything. And so the two find mutual hatred in Spider-Man and they become Venom. That's the comic book story.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
You're not
let's
wrong.
see if that happens with this movie. How about we just pop this bad boy inside and see what happens?
Well, let me give you my
Alrighty.
expectations first.
Yes, let's hear Dallas.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Sorry, we're all hungry from the lack of tacos.
I know, right? I've seen the movie before, and I recall enjoying it. And I too have a love for Spidey. I'm especially invested in this because over the last couple of weeks, I've really been doing a lot of Spider-Man stuff. Like our main show, Geek Devotions. My main thing, we just did a whole month of Spider-Man, and I'm in the middle of reading the Secret Wars that Branson just talked about. So while he's talking, I'm like, yes, I remember this. And then also on top of that, somebody for a Christmas gift gave me a book called Spider-Man: Spider's Shadow, which is a what if story if Spider-Man became Venom.
Oh, I read that one.
It is so good.
Oh man, I love it.
It is so good.
Wait, someone gave it to you as a Christmas gift?
Yes.
Would this
Somebody? You're just going to leave it as
would
somebody gave it to you?
somebody be a strikingly handsome fellow with a long beard and has a penchant for rock music?
Yes, it was Mr. John.
Okay, why are you talking about me like that?
I was sure John wanted it just out there that he was giving me gifts. So, yes, it was John. John had given me the book for Christmas, and it was really, really good. I really enjoyed the story. So I'm hyper aware of Venom storylines right now. So going into this, I have a lot in my head that I'm going to have to decipher and kind of put to the side to enjoy the film itself. So I can do as John did and just enjoy the film as it plays.
I'm telling you, that's the best way to approach a movie, especially when people are telling you it's bad.
Yeah.
Just completely void everything out of your head, just go in completely blank.
Right.
And have an open mind, and you can enjoy some pretty terrible movies.
Now, I'm going to say this.
And I'm going to say,
yeah,
thank you, Kevin, for bringing me to this realization when we were doing Battlefield Earth, because I was going to go into that just roast it, but because I mean, I know you were being sarcastic, but because of your dry wit, and I didn't know you were being sarcastic, I was able to appreciate a lot more about the movies we watch now. So it's your fault, is what I'm saying.
I give that.
It's
I
not
will
my
say
fault,
this.
but I'm glad that I let you now go into somewhere blindfolded, then the van down by the river to watch something.
Whoa.
So I am curious to see how Branson plays this out, because I feel like Branson's going in this the same way that the three of us, and by three of us, I mean me, John, and Celeste, went into seeing Last Airbender, because we were all had large attachments to Last Airbender, and Kevin did not. So I'm really curious to see how Branson comes in at this, because I really feel like, Branson, you're coming in with a bit more of a investment into the character.
I readily admit I've got some expectations, but as I said before, it doesn't take much to improve on what has already been done. So we'll see.
All right.
Okay. Are we supposed to dance into the theater?
Heck yeah, let's dance far away into the theater. I mean, I don't see any other way, so let's do it!
Yeah. Oh. Okay. I shouldn't dance like that. Ugh.
Dear listeners, this is your opportunity to escape. Our crew has just entered into the media projection chamber. What horrors and madness that they consume are unknown. Their mental state upon their return is unknown. You have been warned.
How do you walk out of a movie like that and not say things?
Words were spoken.
I'm trying to. Okay, I'm not laughing. Why should I laugh? I'm not laughing. I'm not laughing.
Yes, you are.
All right. Before we all bust out into multiple personalities here, let me give the audience who has not watched the movie a little more detail about what we just watched. The film description that you find on IMDb. After a faulty interview with the Life Foundation ruins his career, former reporter Eddie Brock's life is in pieces. 6 months later, he comes across the Life Foundation again and comes into contact with an alien symbiote and becomes Venom, the parasitic antihero. So that was just the brief description of it. Time for our spoiler-free thoughts on the film. This is generally the section where we talk about the graphics, or maybe if we felt like it was slow and boring or not. So let's start, because I'm really curious. If Branson, you could, spoiler-free, what are your thoughts?
Okay. Let me analyze what I'm saying to make sure it stays spoiler-free.
Just don't mention anything about the plot of the movie and you'll be fine.
Okay, got you. I will listen to these wise sages who have done this before. I didn't hate it. I do think that some of the expectations I had maybe kept me from giving it a fair shake. I thought graphics-wise, it was much better. I liked this Venom better than Spider-Man 3's Venom.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the look, it looked more like the comics. Like when you read the comics and you think, what would this look like in real life? They did a better job of capturing that look here.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah, I love the way they used the tendrils of the symbiote. We actually saw how the symbiote responded to certain situations. I appreciated that. Most of what I have to say actually has to do with the plot. So I guess that's really the only thing I can comment on non-plot wise, is the look of it was good. I very much appreciated how it looked.
I don't know what the budget for the film was, but I feel like that graphically it was well spent, because of, like what you're saying, is it looked good. Like the way that they animated Venom, the way they play things out with him and other characters and the world around him. I thought it was really well done. I will say this: I enjoyed the fact that I really feel like they used the space that is San Francisco, using the terrain for everything. Like it was nice to see. Sometimes they're like, "Hey, this is based in such and such place," and like they're filming in like Tucson, Arizona, and you're like, that doesn't look like Wyoming. And so I appreciate that. Like I can believe it. They're in San Francisco, and they're actually using typography of San Francisco for some of the scenes. So I liked it.
If you were
budget for this movie, Dallas, just a quick fill in, was estimated at about $100 million.
Oh wow!
How about you read the profit from it?
Oh,
the total gross worldwide, or just U.S. and Canada?
We'll do U.S. and then worldwide. How about that?
U.S. was $213,515,506.
And the worldwide?
And worldwide was $856,085,151.
so they made their money back.
Yeah,
And then some.
It's better than
sequels.
Kroll did.
I was just about to say, enough to make a sequel on it. So
it was better than Kroll.
Crawl. Yeah.
John, what are your
You
thoughts?
if you roll the R, Kevin, it'll come off your
Crow.
Irish tongue.
Crow.
Kroll.
That's
Kroll.
No, stop trying to sound Scottish, okay? It's Crow.
Kroll.
John, what are your spoiler-free thoughts, man?
Maybe I've just become immune to CGI. I don't know, because it anytime I see it on a screen now, no matter how well they do it, and I'll say the CGI was well done in this movie, but no matter how well it's done, how well they do it, it still looks like CGI to me. It doesn't look realistic, and there's no way you can do practical effects for what they were doing.
Oh God, no.
I'll grant it that, but I mean, maybe it's because I play a PS5 and I'm used to really good graphics on video games now. But I don't know. I look at it and I have to turn off my I have to suspend my disbelief a little bit. just to watch anything that's CGI heavy anymore.
Right.
I enjoyed the fact that they pumped some gallows humor into this movie. It was very reminiscent to me, the type of humor that they had in this. It was very reminiscent to me to like A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, where you can crack wise and really dark things. So I appreciated that. Tom Hardy, the way he played Eddie Brock in this, especially when his psyche started to break, he was throwing some serious Bobcat Goldthwait vibes, bringing back some Scrooged, feels for me.
I really liked how he did that. Like I like the fact that he was unhinged basically the entire film.
Yeah, I loved that. That was super entertaining to me. Some of the tropes that they used in this movie were a little bit tired, but well used. I mean, things don't become a cliche unless there's some merit to using them, and so, okay, was that Jesus Loves Me as a phone?
That
ringer?
was 8-bit Jesus Loves Me as an alarm on my phone to tell my son it's time to go to bed. And I forgot to turn it off before the show, so I apologize.
That's awesome. It sounded like someone was playing some Bible games on an NES.
That's See, he could have told him in person if we didn't ship them up here like this. Beat him up.
That's what my wife's there for, guys. She's amazing. I'll be back home soon.
Gosh, it completely derailed me there.
So Jesus derailed you, John?
Yes, he tends to do that in my life.
Amen. Amen.
What else is there? I think it could have used a little bit more Marvel crossover. Now, given that this was pre-Sony Marvel agreement, it was Marvel adjacent. But there's some other Sony properties they could have tied into this if they wanted to. For instance, they could have used some Fantastic Four stuff, bring that in there a little bit.
Is Fantastic Four owned by Sony still at that point?
Yes. Fantastic Four is still owned by Sony, a portion of it.
Yeah. So Marvel didn't acquire, or Disney, I should say, didn't acquire Fantastic Four until right before Phase 4 started, because the way they introduced Phase 4 at the very end is a big blue 4.
Yeah. Now, to be fair, I just did a quick Google search. Fantastic Four, the last Fantastic Four movie that probably needs to be on our show, was in 2015, and this came out in 2018. So at this point, they're denying that existed.
Oh, I got you.
Right, but I mean, they could have used some kind of Fantastic Four.
I totally get that.
Imagery.
Something.
I mean, I'm not saying bring the Fantastic Four in, but like, okay, so
a reference
behind the scenes here, I've been playing the first Spider-Man as it's been remastered for the PlayStation 5.
Beautiful game.
Because my wife got me the Ultimate Edition of Miles Morales, which comes with a digital copy of the first Spider-Man video game.
Your wife's awesome.
And they do a good job in that game, bringing in other Marvel references, such as Avengers Tower and things to that effect. Just little nuances to make you realize it's a part of a bigger thing. And I think this movie would have benefited from that quite a bit, using whatever properties that Sony had access to at the time. Now, granted, you can't bring X-Men into a Venom movie. That would have been weird.
But you mean have the Baxter Building in the background, or make some kind of reference to Professor Richards or something like that?
Right. I mean, they kind of sort of did that. They made reference to the Daily Bugle.
They did.
Yeah.
In the movie. But I mean, it was so brief that,
I think though, like, it was a smart play to do that, because like this takes place in San Francisco. Everything you're referencing is in New York City, way on the other side. And I think it was a smart play for them not to do this, to isolate it, to go, okay, if this bombs, we have plausible deniability, because at the time they were trying to build their own world at the same time. I'm really curious as when Morbius finally drops, what tie-overs from Venom and other Sony properties are in that?
Dude, okay. Just outside of the conversation real quick, another thing I got for Christmas was an Amazon gift card, which I used to get some comic book storage materials. I got a really awesome box and some boards and sleeves.
Let's go.
And I went into my comic books that I have from the 90s, from back when I was first still reading comic books.
Yeah.
Dude, I have some of I have like not number 1, but I have like Morbius number 6.
Wow.
I've got the first Deadpool comic book.
Respect, man.
I'm sitting here looking at some of this stuff and I'm like, oh my gosh. Or do you remember X-Men 2099?
Love the 2099 series.
Yeah, dude, I've got some of the first issues of that. It's just like, oh my gosh, how did I not remember I had some of these? I was geeking out. And of course, I have the entire original run of Pistol Fist signed by the author himself.
Oh,
just
awesome. Kind of jelly. I'm getting my anthology coming in. My anthology. Yeah, I'm getting the anthology, but I'm also getting the graphic novel as soon as it drops.
Yeah, yes. I got the hardcover coming in with the Jack Kirby cover.
Oh, no. Oh my gosh. Poor Kevin has no idea what we're talking about.
No, I understand. Kevin, I'm still waiting on my copy because I'm supposed to be inside the comic.
You're in the comic?
Whoa.
Did you back it? Like, oh, dude.
Yeah. But I haven't heard anything yet, so I'm like, okay, I wonder what's happening.
Oh, Kevin, that just made me want to hug you. You might be number 4, sir. You might become number 4.
For those of you who are listening, are like, what are these guys talking about? We all backed. All 4 of us actually backed one of our friends who is a fantastic writer and
a fellow Floridian.
For Kevin here. We're just waiting for these guys to see the light and move to a real estate. But
yeah, we are in a real estate.
So I just
of denial.
But anyways, J.S. Earls, and he did a Kickstarter for a series called Pistol Fist a while back, and I was we're excited about it. Let's continue on with the show, though.
Yes,
Dallas. Let's get your spoiler-free thoughts.
I already did. It's Kevin's turn.
So glad everyone skipped mine.
Nobody cares, Kevin.
I know.
I care, Kevin.
Because I don't read. I don't know comics.
Kevin, what are your spoiler-free thoughts?
It's not a Marvel film. I mean, it is, but it's not. I was expecting,
I think
some
that's
Marvel stuff. Huh?
I think that's one of the best parts. It's so different from all other Marvel films.
Yeah, it is. Which is, to me, I'm not complaining because Disney Marvel has that exact blueprint they follow, and it's almost like a copy paste and recycle with all their films. You're like, I already know what's going to happen right here, every single time. I've never seen so much black on black on screen. Last time I've seen this much was seeing a duck swim through an Exxon oil spill in the ocean.
Thank you, BP.
Wow.
Yeah, there was. I was not the biggest fan for the CGI. Okay. I think could have been. I mean, there was the budget and everything else, but apparently, they had a budget. They just kept shooting in the dark because everybody loves to see someone wearing a black suit fighting in the dark, the darkest way, fighting another black creature in the dark at the night.
I mean, at least it wasn't like night for day or day for night, like in Plan 9 from Outer Space. Like it felt like it was actually nighttime in those scenes.
Kevin, I will say this. I am glad that you agree with me about the CGI because it felt kind of video gamey to me.
Yes.
So yay for that. I will say though,
you guys agree on something again.
This is true. And I will agree with you that there was a lot that was done at nighttime, but the difference here is I could still tell the difference between the two characters when I was watching it. It's not like a Transformers movie where after a while they all just kind of blend together on the screen and you're like,
that is a great analogy. That is a great analogy because that was one of the problems with Transformers.
I remembered something when I was much younger reading some called Maximum Carnage, and I know Venom was in there, and there was a lot of colorful scenes that happened because Venom was in the black suit, you had Carnage in a red suit, Spider-Man, and there was a couple of other characters. I remember seeing the vivid colors, and there isn't very much vivid colors in this film at all.
See link in description below for my review of Maximum Carnage. And
That's right, you did that. I forgot
Yes,
about that.
it was a good review too. I really enjoyed reading it.
yeah, and thank you so much, Branson, for recommending it and forcing me to rip my heart out while I was.
I didn't know it would do that, dude.
Okay,
Oh,
Papa
the
Roach.
Power Comics. All right.
I'm kind of wondering what would happen if Tom Hardy's son never actually recommended his father do this film, because Tom Hardy didn't have interest in making this movie. His son is a comic book reader, and Venom is his favorite character. So as Tom Hardy says, so he did it for his son, and I think he's thankful that he did it. It's just that accent he uses, I just can't get over it with Tom Hardy, with the high pitch, like, "Hey guys, what's up? Hey, I'm Tom. I'm Eddie Brock. I'm a big tough guy with a high pitched voice. I'm like,
It's Mike Tyson.
I can tell you what would have happened if Tom Hardy's son hadn't recommended it to him. We would have had Topher Grace as Venom.
Yep. I think Branson's turning into Venom.
better watch it, John.
eat Topher Grace.
Better watch it, John. I'm gonna put some dirt in your eye.
Oh my gosh.
Can we
All right.
please stop with the Spider-Man 3 references? I'm convulsing. Please.
If it makes you feel any better, Branson, I haven't even seen Spider-Man 3. I haven't seen Spider-Man 2. Of all the modern Spider-Man movies, I've only seen the first one, and it just confirmed that Tobey Maguire was not Peter Parker for me, and I just turned my back on the series.
I will say this, Spider-Man 2 with Tobey Maguire is one of the best superhero movies of all time.
Possibly, yeah. One of the top.
But the thing about it is now that I've been playing the first Spider-Man video game, I can't see anybody else do Doc Ock. I can't.
But Alfred Molina does a great Doc Ock. Seriously, Spider-Man 2 is that good.
Well, we're here to talk about bad films.
Oh, right. Sorry.
Yeah, let's talk about this bad film, or wait, supposed to be bad film. I don't know.
Have we done the non-spoiler section for
No,
everybody?
let's go into the non-spoiler section.
We are in the non-spoiler section.
I mean, let's go into the spoiler section. Let's go to the spoiler section. Spoil it,
good,
like milk.
This is where everything I have to say will come out.
Ladies and gentlemen, the spoiler section.
I'm going to fasten my seatbelt and put a helmet on as Branson proceeds to vomit black goo.
Okay.
That's what happens when you mix up Taco Bell with KFC. Oh, that's right. Taco Bell now sells chicken wings.
What?
Why do I want to try this right now? And they have a subscription
You don't know
service.
Yeah,
Taco Bell has a subscription service?
Yes.
You didn't see my post?
No.
Wow.
Okay.
I'm still trying to wrap my head around Taco Bell.
For everybody
wings.
who wants diarrhea on the go.
You know what I love when the movie opens up with a spaceship crashing. How more predictable can you get than that?
Like I said, tired tropes. I had brought that up.
Hold on. Let's let Kevin do his what's gonna happen here is Kevin's gonna walk us through the film and we're gonna verbal diarrhea over the scenes that he talks about.
How many diarrheal references can we make in one episode, everybody?
Let's find out.
we all yeah. All right, let's go for it.
Now this
like
movie
to go
is
with the
rated.
flow.
This movie is rated PG-13 for those who are curious for your own sake, children's sake, grandchildren's sake, whatever sake. It does has one F-bomb, and it does use the Lord's name in vain 3 times. Has some mild language inside, and as far as language, there and some name calling. Ugh. There is a kind of sexual scene, but nothing really too much. You just already know what happens, so it doesn't show anything. And for violence, there's just a lot of your comic book violence, and there's no gore. I guess the blood would be black. So that's where you're curious about PG-13.
I was thoroughly surprised at how relatively clean the film was.
Yes.
Venom is an anti-hero. His books aren't exactly, oh, let me hug a bunny. It's more like Happy Tree Friends than Bugs Bunny. And this is on the heels of the success of Deadpool. which told
Right.
people we can have violent, bloody, and very foul superhero movies now. And yet it was relatively clean. And I don't know if that's the attachment to Spider-Man or not, but I was relatively surprised by that.
Wait. There was an attachment to Spider-Man?
Oh,
I
stop it.
completely missed that.
Yes, they
so-
wanted to connect this, having that into that Marvel universe, so they know they, in order to do that, they had to keep it PG-13, which seemed to tick off a lot of the diehard fans because like, it has to be R. If it's not
Okay.
violent, it's supposed to be R.
Okay, yeah. So I was one of those fans you're mocking right now. And
So
I
you
was
can
just
still
about to
make
say-
a good PG-13.
Okay, let me talk before you start kicking me in the bollocks here, Kevin.
Okay, fine.
I'm just saying that
It's
when
the
they first well,
Try
anyway,
to speak his language.
well, I was trying to do it in such I was trying to say it in such a way that wouldn't get me edited. So when I first saw the preview of this movie, I was excited until I saw the PG-13, and I was like, "There's no way you can do a decent Venom movie as a PG-13." I was shocked and appalled, and that was one of the biggest reasons why I never watched this movie until we had to for the show.
Really?
And so I was frustrated by that rating because as a horror fan, I have seen movies that get cleaned up too much to sell to a broader audience, and as a result, it just ruins the franchise. I have seen action movies do this with the third Expendables movie.
Yeah.
That's right, I forgot about that.
And so I saw that and I'm like, no, just no, so yeah, I was one of those people. I was frustrated by that, but I can say as one of those fans, if you sit back and you just say, hey, you know what? I'm just going to forget that this is a part of the comic book series the comic book character that I enjoy, and just watch it as a standalone property. I had a lot of fun with it.
Mhm.
So
Okay,
I give
I
you
would
that.
discuss more about the rating thing, but that's going to be like another video of my own personal channel. So, because I already have a video I'm making right now about ratings and films, because James
Alright.
Wan has proved that you can make a horror film in PG-13 realm. Conjuring,
James Bond?
James Wan.
Oh, I thought you said James Bond. I'm like, there was a
What movie are you
horror
talking
James
about?
Bond?
Okay,
License
Hey.
to die again.
we are introduced.
License to Kill Ghosts.
I mean, we are introduced to
The sequel to Dr. No,
Oh my-
Dr. Boo.
You only live twice at a time. Thank you, Umbrella Corporation.
All right, Kevin, keep going.
Let's call Leon on the ship.
Dude, can you imagine if they put James Bond in the Resident Evil universe?
gosh.
How amazing would that crossover be, right?
Oh, man.
Wow.
Sorry, go ahead, Kevin. Branson just brings it out of me.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. I was going to say, like, one of Mary Jane's boyfriends is killed in the crash. Jameson. Remember the astronaut? Say, hey, look, that's Jameson. It's like, oh, yeah. Finally,
Yeah.
they kill a useless
I wanna
character
say,
in the comic
I
book
appreciate
series.
Jameson was mentioned.
Yes, I did too.
While the Venom suit didn't come to the Battle World, it is canon. It's an alien. But in the animated series from the 90s that I love, that's how Venom came, was through
Yes.
Jameson. And so I really appreciated that reference. I thought that was a good callback.
Okay, so that
was one of the few things I liked about it was a reference to that 90s show.
Mm-hmm. I feel like most of the story is probably more loosely related to the 90s show than the comics. There's a few comics accurate things there, or pseudo accurate things, but yeah.
And on the ship is that black goo, and the black goo is on what Arthur Jameson goes onto the paramedic, and this black goo just goes everywhere. There's like a couple of canisters, right? And that's when we introduced with like the high pitching Tom Hardy and his forgettable girlfriend. And Tom, I can't remember the
I
girlfriend.
agree with you on that, Kevin.
Okay.
I agree
yeah.
with you on that.
I mean,
her name was Wilma McGuffin.
yes, I thought it was Jane Doe, but yeah, we got
Susie
And-
Q.
They could have done so much more with their character. That's one of my complaints, is that the story between him and his girlfriend it was so rushed, and there was not a lot of build up in there for that ending scene where there's like this awkward tension between the two of them. I was like, I feel awkward anyways because you haven't done anything with this girl.
I
And
couldn't keep up with whether or not she actually liked Eddie or not. It
She was
I can't keep my hands off you. Now I can't stand the sight of you. Now I'm annoyed that you're around. Now I'm freaked out that you're an alien. Now I want to take care of you. Now I'm so preoccupied with you that I don't notice there's a black alien in the next room as I'm talking to my boyfriend. I could. Did she like the guy or did she didn't? I really couldn't tell.
She, like Mary Jane, is just a narrative tool to be used that has no purpose.
You know, I get that. I get that. Like I seriously thought that the new boyfriend, the doctor, showed more care and compassion for Eddie than his ex-girlfriend did.
Like I had that in my notes. I like Dan. In my notes for this, I said, I like Dan.
Yeah.
I remember Dan's name. I don't remember her name.
I just remember her as fake blonde.
So that's when we get introduced to Tom Hardy. He's the news reporter. He isn't afraid to tell the news. He's like, And what was that? The news station. That was really just like mind-boggling to me because
CNN.
Yeah. This kind of CNN. I mean, we're looking at you, NPR, and wait, no, this is San Francisco. So this would be the San Francisco Chronicle, right?
I guess.
One of them.
I didn't like it. The way that they made him.
No sense.
I did not care for. Huh?
I'm sorry.
No, go on.
He's a controversial news reporter. You get a controversial news reporter to report on news that is controversial, that brings people down. Is that, oh yeah, I'm going to sing to this guy. Don't bring him down. Just talk about his rockets and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, that you have 50 different news reporters. Why don't you ask any of them? Why are you asking Eddie Brock, who makes a living?
To do a puff piece.
Yeah. That makes no sense.
Yeah.
That's like if your pastor goes to you and say, hey, I want you to write something, but don't write anything biblical connected to this. Why you're asking me? Have somebody else.
Oh, do you go to Joel Osteen's church then?
Yes.
No, here's my issue with the with Eddie's character as a reporter. In the comics, and I'm maybe stepping on Branson's toes a little bit, Eddie was a jerk. He wasn't a good guy. And
extremely ambitious.
Right. The way they made him in this, he was ambitious, but he was genuinely a good guy. And
No.
I would say yes.
What?
No.
He hacked his girlfriend's computer to get a story lead. That's not exactly a
Which
good
his
guy.
girlfriend is goes to the law firm who sends an email of confidential thing. I'm like, what? You don't go into meetings like, hey,
he typed in her
read this
password that he knew right there. I get that was a moment of weakness that he shouldn't have done. But for the most part, everything he did was for the good of people. All his news reports were to cause issues and to help people get better. All of his stuff was.
No. Okay, continue on from your no.
Okay, so here's the thing. If you watched how they did the progression of, because they did a kind of a video collage of his career. Everything he was doing, he was just going after people just for the sake of his own career. That's what they were trying to demonstrate in the beginning, that for him, his career was everything and everybody else was secondary. That was part of what you're describing, Dallas, was part of his hero's journey to evolve him as a character in this. He had some moments of humanity, like when he gave money to the homeless girl outside of the Asian supermarket and stuff like that. But for the most part, everything about him pre-symbiote had to do with how does it benefit me and my agenda of what I want to do. Even when it came down to his own boss had no control over him, because his boss was like, hey, we want you to do this story because you're the one who's going to draw the most attention for it. And this company's paying for you for this puff piece. So we want you to do it because it'll add some validity to it. And he's like, screw that noise. I'm going to do what I want. I'm going to put my finger in your face and I'm going to expose you and try to destroy your company because this is my career and I'm going to do what I want. Which
is actually, like Dallas mentioned, spot on with the comic. He's a very ambitious reporter. He wants to climb the ladder. He doesn't care who he steps on, which is one of the reasons he hates Spider-Man so much, is because the people he's trying to ruin to advance his career, Spider-Man keeps saving and keeps ruining him. So yeah, I agree in that. And I readily admit, watching the movie, I probably had the comics Eddie Brock in my head. So when I see him making these videos and doing these things, I'm like, they're showing his ambition. They're showing his, I'll do whatever I've got to do to move up.
I just feel like they did a good job. I feel like tonally it wasn't right. I mean, this to me coming off again. I'm very familiar with Venom, but not as much as you guys are. But like it tonally, he came off as he's a good guy trying to do right. He doesn't care who gets in his way. At the same time, then they do that switch over with some of this stuff where it's like he was coming after them. Like tonally, he was just everywhere. He's this hard hitting reporter, but then he's like this spastic, like I don't know type of individual the entire movie.
Well, see, they had to do that. They had to do that because he's the hero of the story. Now, if they have done it properly and made him a villain first, fighting a certain red and blue clad spider-themed superhero, and let him go through a journey where he goes from villain to anti-hero, then you could do that. But see, Venom had his origins as a villain. The whole reason that he and the symbiote made symbiosis is their mutual hatred for Spider-Man. If you take Spider-Man out of the origin, you lose a facet to Venom's character.
Hey, Branson, you get some foam coming out of the side of your mouth.
I love the fact that you just made. I love the fact that you just made Branson defend this movie.
I know,
Dallas.
right?
That was.
But go.
I wasn't defending it. I was saying they screwed it up by taking Spider-Man out of it.
No, you defended it, bro. So what I do want to say is, one, Branson's right. Yeah, Venom was a villain first, and they had to forego that to a certain extent. So they had to tone down the jerkishness of Eddie Brock. But that aside, I think that they had to make, because it is a live action movie, they had to make it believable in a real world scenario. Somebody who is that big of a D-bag is not going to be, in a prestigious position and well held. You look at people like Howard Stern or what's his name? The guy who made Fahrenheit 9/11.
Author?
Yeah.
You're talking about Ray Bradbury?
No, something more.
Michael Moore?
Oh,
Yeah,
that guy.
You look at people who have an agenda and are ambitious beyond, reasonability, stuff like that. I mean, yeah, they have their niche audience, but for the most part, they're going to have enough people who dislike them in the real world that it's not going to, that they wouldn't be able to sustain a movie on that type of a character, because the fact of the matter is the filmmaker has to get the audience to rally behind this person.
Yeah.
So if they make them completely unlikable in the beginning, you're not going to care about the rest of the movie.
Which might be why it was a little ambiguous as to whether he was a good guy or not, like you were talking about, Dallas.
Yeah.
And that's what we get introduced to Dr. Evil and his 10 disciple scientists. I don't know what his name was, seriously. I just know he was the guy dressing in black, and everyone around him dresses in black because, bad people wear black.
I didn't care for his story because I don't feel like his motive was ever clear throughout the entire thing. His character, I'm looking up the character name because I cannot remember it right now, but his character was actually head of an organization that's been around since the end of the Cold War, and they really believed that humanity was doomed, and so they were trying to create basically nuclear fallout for shelter for the world elites. And in the comics, his organization, they are experimenting on samples of Venom himself and create the other symbiotes. And that was their solution. And like this one, I didn't really get I feel like he was more of an ambitious person than Eddie Brock was. And I really didn't get his motive for let's go to space, other than people were mean to me as a kid because I asked questions. Carlton Drake,
in that case, I was a heathen because I never stopped asking questions growing up.
Dude,
I felt
Okay.
like he was essentially just a vehicle for Riot. Like that was
Yeah.
his sole purpose. We needed a human host for the big bad.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Can I just go out there? I know I'm jumping order of the movie here real quick, but we're talking about the other symbiotes. Can I just say that did anybody else get the feeling that Eddie Brock's girlfriend was being set up to become Scream?
No, I think so.
I didn't pick that up though.
I can see that.
When she was wearing the Venom symbiote to bring it to Eddie Brock, when she had separated Eddie and the
See,
Venom.
that just added to the confusion for me. Did she like Eddie or not? She could have transferred the symbiote to Eddie any way she chose, but she said, "Hey, let's make out."
I
No,
can
she
tell you
said-
the
she said
first
that
time I
was the-
watched. Okay. What?
No, go for
Am I
it.
talking? The first time I watched this movie was up in Indiana, and I watched it in the theater in Indianapolis, and it was like the day of it showed in theaters. And I remember the whole crowd was going crazy when they saw the female Venom. Like they cheered and everything else. And apparently, when they did the kiss, everyone was like, It's like they didn't want the kiss. They wanted to see more violence from her or something. Like there was some sort of character missing. And I think that was her name. Scream, you said?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Anne's character legitimately was a comic book character. Did a quick search for her. She was called She-Venom. Very original for the 90s. She was the former wife of Eddie Brock. She is the first character who goes by She-Venom identity, and she also colloquially referred to as the Bride of Venom. So she is a legitimate character.
Ah,
Yeah, but I feel like they were setting her up for Scream. I do.
I did see the Scream symbiote as one of the three. Like it was that orangey white one, right?
Well, all the other symbiotes other than Venom and Riot got killed. So
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, because there was only two. Because that somehow we're supposed to remember like all those little flash or those other scenes when they derived away from Tom Hardy, Eddie Brock. It was always showing the symbiote going from one character to another from somewhere around the world.
Mm-hmm.
I guess to
That was
remind us that
Riot.
hey, this black goo is still out there heading its way to reach Doctor Evil.
Which
I won't call him Doctor Evil. I don't. That's what he's supposed to be. I don't know. I don't know his name.
Rajesh Evil is his name.
Rajesh Evil. Okay.
yeah.
Yes.
On the subject. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, if you had a subject, go ahead.
I on the subject of symbiotes in general, did anyone else feel like the symbiote that is Venom was? I don't know. I felt like when we first hear him start talking to Eddie, he's this deep, menacing. I really got the whole "we're the bad guy" or we're the less bad guy, the bad guys. But then the longer they're together, it turns into this frat boy bromance thing, and he just
I love you so much.
How long was this movie? I'm trying to remember. Well, how long was this movie? Was this movie like 90 minutes?
2 hours.
Was it 2
2
hours?
hours. Yeah.
You know how long it took before we actually heard the voice of Venom? 50
long?
freaking minutes. We had to wait 50 minutes before we actually get anything by Venom.
Wow.
His eyes, teeth, when it kept showing bits and clips and pieces of Venom until he saw his own reflection, which I don't understand how that worked out. How you seen your own reflection because reason.
It's in his brain, bro.
It's in his head.
Yeah.
It's all in his head.
But we don't see anything until 50 minutes into the film. After all this whatever stuff happened.
It was a slow start.
To speak to what Branson was saying, though, to bring it back to what Branson was trying to say, though, I'll say this. I think Venom kind of explains it later on in the movie when he's like, I was kind of a geek back on my planet.
Yeah, I was kind of a loser. When someone who comes from that thought process meets somebody new and doesn't know their background, they kind of try to puff themselves up to be bigger than what they are. I know I tended to do that back when I was in high school, because I wasn't a loser. I was an outsider. Like I purposely put myself outside of the social system. I wore tore up corduroys and black shirts, painted my fingernails black. And so, but I did that to make myself look like a more evil individual, to puff myself up, and I'm unapproachable. Right.
I can relate to you like that because I'm the oldest of 10. and being homeschooled, I did to my brothers and sisters a lot.
What, you're the oldest of 10?
Yes.
Were your parents Catholic?
No, they weren't Catholic. They were actually, I don't know what they were.
I mean, 10 Irish kids, I would have to assume they were Catholic.
You gotta remember, they're all, you know, my
the
mom's
Catholic side, and they all worship the Holy Father.
All right, so anyways, back to the movie.
Getting back.
So yeah, that's when we
Kevin, keep going. Keep going through the
just
story.
thinking about like the introduction. I'm just still trying to get all over the introduction of Venom, because we get like, what was it? Again, this is the very first fight we get where he's fighting in the dark streets with the dark black SUVs with the men wearing black with the 100 we call it helicopters. What are the things called?
Drones.
Those things, drones. Yes,
Drones.
I mean, it was like another episode of Cops without, you know, the Bad Boys theme song, but.
And there is
50
no spider
what
clinging
you
to the
gonna
wall.
do?
There's no web swinging. It is all black tendrils and breaking bricks.
Yes,
Branson, that's why this works, though, is that Spider-Man, because there was no connection to Spider-Man, he didn't shoot webbing. If he just shot webbing, I would have been mad.
I
Yeah,
understand.
I think I would have been
understand
upset
that
about
if you're going to take the time to move Spider-Man out, you don't want all those things. But it's just not Venom. And I feel like I have to give a little disclaimer here. The black suit Spider-Man saga where he struggles with his dark side is a storyline that I absolutely love. And I
It's a
see
fantastic
Venom
one.
as a dark reflection of Spider-Man, because both of them have a situation where my life is crap. Spider-Man says, my life is crap because I screwed up. It's my fault. I need to do better. With great power comes great responsibility. Eddie Brock says, my life is screwed up. It's Spider-Man's fault. And so I'm going to do everything I can to make sure he doesn't mess up somebody else's life. So I don't know. To me, if you try to separate Spider-Man from Venom, you're taking a piece of the character away. I would almost feel better if they would call this something other than Venom, and then I could accept it more as, okay, it's this black alien symbiote who's trying to protect people and that kind of thing. But
They did. It was called Alien.
oh,
Now, I'll say this.
this was
think
released at
that
the same time as that movie Life. That was supposed
Well-
to be like an alien knockoff or something like that.
Well, I agree with you, Branson. I feel like they were set there. I feel like the plan to work with Sony or with Marvel to do the crossover that they've done now was already in motion. Otherwise, they wouldn't have gone forward with the end credit scene where they go Elseworlds in another universe or another dimension, and you have the Spider-Man thing right
Spider-Verse.
there, which then cuts over to obviously the last scenes of No Way Home.
right.
I know I'm sorry. I know the
I think
three of
it's
the
a
four
long
of
game.
us. The three of the
Huh?
four of us has seen Spider-Man 3. How would you say Venom and his form, what he looks like, compares to the other one?
Oh, this
And
Venom
this
is,
movie.
is far better.
Oh, much better.
Far
Okay.
better.
The other one
Yeah.
just looked like they spray painted his suit black.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, like I said, I watched this in the theater. I remember when this scene came up, the whole theater like busted up, cheering, screaming, everything else. And again, I seen this happen a lot in the theater when I was in. They were like screaming. They were like, "Ah, yes!" And then all of a sudden, he only appeared for like 27 seconds. After 27 seconds, goes right back to Tom Hardy, and everyone in the theater like, "Oh." That's what you hear, like, "Yes, yes, we're getting it!" Like, "Oh, we're back." Okay.
That's the saga of the superhero movie, though. These big time actors, you have to see their faces.
Yeah.
So, and most of the superheroes wear masks. So you have to have reasons to take the mask off. That's why Tobey Maguire in all the movies, every time his suit got damaged, it was always the mask that got damaged. So you could see Tobey Maguire through the mask. And so that's why so much of, I think of Tom Hardy as Venom, you don't see him full out Venom a whole lot. And even when you do, you see Hardy's face stick out because the actors want to see themselves.
Hit me up, Marvel or Sony or whomever. I don't care if you cover my face. I'll work for $40,000 and you can cover my face all you want.
Can they shave your chin hair thing you have?
Hey, you know what? For 40 G's and to be in a movie, Yeah, I'll shave off.
I'm right there with you.
I dare say we'd see an improvement in superhero films if we got actors who were like, cover my face. I don't care. These people aren't here to see me. They're here to see Spider-Man or Batman or Venom.
That's
or
why
whatever.
everybody wants to be Superman, right?
Exactly.
Pretty much.
There's no mask. You can just say, hey, look, this is my face.
A lot of the DC characters are that way, though, where it's just their face is shown. Outside people like The Flash and a couple others.
Yeah, because that's the reason why Green Lantern went so well as a standalone movie, right?
That went bad because of a lot of reasons. I'm not
know
talking
who
about
I
the
am?
movies, though. I'm talking about what's like the characters, though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Let me also, I've never watched the Green Lantern.
I haven't either, but I know that it tanks.
I just
saw
know
it
of it because
in
everyone
theaters.
tells me so much of it.
I saw it in the ghetto theater.
Yeah, we get the second action scene again, black on black. It's a SWAT team that comes in there and his girlfriend walks in, passing up barricade. What was going through? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah,
That was something else I didn't understand.
Why was why the SWAT team knew where he was or everyone that gathered him?
Yeah, like where did the SWAT team come from? The first time I saw the movie, I thought it was more of riot human host dudes, guys. But it's like, okay, we have this big police chase scene, and then he goes to this building, and suddenly a SWAT team appears. Like where did they come from?
I did question that this past time too. It was like, why was there all of a sudden a SWAT team of individuals? Like there was nothing that would have suggested, unless there was like a silent alarm that went off, maybe because he busted through a window on the 50,000th
I want to work
floor.
for that company if a SWAT team responds to a silent alarm. Like they have the best security in the world.
For those high end companies, though, they would do that.
Mhm.
High-end
Imagine-
companies-
Imagine if a terrorist were to break into Microsoft.
man,
Yeah.
you'd have some grade A, probably mercs jumping in.
The SWAT team
even
went to Facebook when they cut shut down for that the 24-hour thing.
or even I'll put it to you like this, to make it a little bit more of a direct correlation with the company in this movie. If a terrorist were to break into Pfizer,
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
Don't take
it's
it
that
weird.
level of stuff right there. So it felt weird, but there was no explanation for it. Like you have to be like, you have to go, okay, this would be why.
No,
but here's the thing: I appreciate that when movies don't feel like they need to spoon feed you. You
I
know,
get
they
that.
just
Yeah, you know,
And
I
to
can
be qu-
appreciate that about this. It didn't feel too spoon-fed about every little detail, but sometimes.
and you know, sometimes, and it's a known fact that sometimes some film creators will just throw stuff that don't make sense into their films just for the sake of making a better film. You see it in movies that people love, like Jurassic Park, in the T-Rex scene, where suddenly there's this cliff. Where did the cliff come from? Wasn't in any of the scenes that were preceding the movie, but suddenly there's a cliff that they're hanging off when in the T-Rex thing. And I've seen a special on this. It's just like, you know, what's his face? Steven Spielberg was just like, I want to do this. They're like, but there wasn't a cliff. He goes, doesn't matter. I'm going to put it in there because it'll increase tension.
That makes
Well,
sense.
there was
That
that
makes
fence, so
sense,
we
yeah.
never went beyond the fence to know.
You see it in broad daylight when their vehicles stop.
I have poor vision, I guess. I need glasses like you. Now, I know I'm going to get to the part where I know you guys are going to be talking about the comparison to comic book, but when this girl is on and off girlfriend, whatever, brings her to the doctor boyfriend, to the MRI machine, where he gets the MRI machine and the symbiote separates from him.
Yeah.
I was trying to understand why was he separated? First, I know that any type of damage that happens, that the symbiote recovers and heals, but if it got away from the human host, that it would the host would die. The host, Eddie Brock, doesn't die from the separation. But what was it about the MRI machine that separated? I mean, is that true to the comic
It's
form or is
sound
this-
waves.
Sonic waves,
waves.
sound waves. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Sound and fire are because symbiotes are designed to exist in the vacuum of space where there's no sound and no heat. So extreme heat and sounds at certain decibels hurt it.
Yeah.
Okay. I see. I kept thinking like this was like some sort of like far off Mars planet or something. They must have discovered off
That's
of a
actually-
meteorite or something.
Yeah, that's actually how Spider-Man separates from the symbiote once he realizes that it's living and he wants to get it off of him. The symbiote says, "No, we like you. We're staying." And so he goes up to the top of a church tower, and the bell starts to ring, and the sound vibrations from the ringing bell hurt the symbiote. And he's actually able to rip it off. That's one of the few things I liked about Spider-Man 3 was that scene. I thought that scene was beautifully done.
Pieces are coming together. Uh-huh.
And then there's the dancing scene that was just
Do you
amazing.
stop?
Yes!
Please. Please.
Yeah, this is now we get to introduce into Riot right here. That's when that little girl just walks inside this multi-billion-dollar. He is the worst freaking security for a building. Multi-billion-dollars, no cameras, no nothing. Like he doesn't have nothing unless you walk outside the building. Then all of a sudden it becomes like the border of Mexico. Everyone's right there waiting for you. There's no one inside his building. He has 10 security guards.
To be fair, he didn't want anybody knowing what was going on inside his building. True. So no cameras make sense.
I'll say this: the little girl, though, if there were people there, she probably killed him on the way in.
It'd be kind of cool just to see just one kill off. That way, you're like, okay, yeah, the girl's coming up, but just seeing the girl, I don't know, it just felt, okay, thrown in.
Well, we saw what the symbiote could do when it moved from the EMS person to the old lady in that Chinese area where she was eating the snake, and then she
in Chinatown somewhere.
So I
think it was an eel, dude.
An eel, whatever. But so we could probably surmise from that what the little girl could do similar things and waltz into the high tech security place too.
Absolutely.
So, question: this follows up to the closing part where, crap. What is it? Jeff Bezos, Dr. Evil, whatever his name is. He's so much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for making that correlation. I got some severe Jeff Bezos from him as well. Thank you so much.
I mean, I'm trying to think. He's either Dr. Evil or Jeff Bezos. He's the evil Jeff Bezos.
As a Washingtonian, I am so thankful that I'm not the only person who saw the Bezos in him.
You're welcome. Why is he so much in a hurry to launch another spaceship? I know he's into rockets. He's got this fetish thing about seeing things fly in space, but why
he's trying He's trying to bring back more symbiotes because
he was in a rush before that happened.
Yes,
but he's trying to bring back more symbiotes. He wanted more people to become symbiotic because he thought it was like the next evolution of humanity.
But did they found out exact location where the symbiote was?
Yeah, they found him on a planet. A meteor.
They landed on they went out to
meteor.
Yeah, they went out to see if they could find a place to recolonize. And while they were flying around, they found a meteor, found the symbiotes, and brought some of them back. And his plan was, if we can figure out how these work, we can go get more. And this is how we're going to save humanity. We're going to become hosts for these gooey alien things.
Okay, just they made it clear. That's why I think I asked you earlier, was it on a meteorite or something of the sort? Because I thought it was, but I wasn't sure. And
okay, this goes to my earlier comment that his motivation was really not present at all as to why he was so let's go to space. It just wasn't there. Once he discovered the symbiotes, okay, he wanted to do some cool stuff. Is this next stage of human evolution? What's happening here? There was nothing. There was no good reason for him to be this diehard to go up there.
Yeah. But this is also I think now, as it comes to the end, we start seeing Eddie Brock starting to, I guess, understand Venom, what he's trying to do or something. They're starting to sync together. What was your thoughts on that part? Did he felt like he understood the purpose, or that it felt like, I don't know. Yeah. I'm trying, because it just feels like Eddie Brock's okay, I'm just going to do something else with Venom's voice in my head, which I like the Venom voice. But so did anybody felt any a true connection with Eddie Brock and the Venom character that was being put together, because apparently now they're synced together, they understand each other, and what did you feel about with Tom Hardy doing his double with his voice and everything else, as connecting with the Venom? Did he actually felt like he was a true Venom, or did he felt like this should have been somebody else?
I liked it. I think I felt like he connected with the character really well. I think by the end of the movie, it wasn't the Venom from Marvel. I'll put it like that. It was not. I will agree with Branson. However, what they did give us, it was a really fun, bizarre buddy comedy.
Yeah,
is how it felt.
It was very hilarious. I think my favorite scene in this was the lobster scene. I don't know how many people love that scene, but I loved it. He goes,
"He's dead. He's dead."
That's the thing I loved about the movie was Hardy's playing of this there's this psychotic break taking place in him. Now I know I've mentioned this already, but that was a great aspect. And what I loved about it was, and somebody made a meme about this a while back, is that this movie, Tom Hardy doesn't have the superhero glow up where all of a sudden he's pristine. He's still wearing that nasty ratty hoodie at the end of the movie, and he still looks a mess as he did in the front end of the movie. And so I appreciated that whole mindset that they had with it.
I love how he goes full Nicolas Cage on this.
What?
You know what this movie kind of reminds me of?
What?
And Dallas will understand it. It's an anime called Parasite.
Yeah.
I would love to see Parasite versus Venom.
That would be cool, actually.
I am not a parasite.
Yes.
That would be a legit, Parasite really is what this movie was trying to be, I think.
And as far as the voice for the symbiote, I know I'm kind of going back to my other podcast, and I'm sorry, but
how dare ye?
Does anybody who's familiar with my other podcast pick up some Orbog?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, you're right. You're so right.
I love you, Jeff.
Actually, I could see. I like this version of the symbiote a little bit better now because you've made that comparison. Because it reminds me of Orbog.
I might have affected the rating at the end of this.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's my D&D podcast, brother.
Which one? You have 5 of them, don't you?
No,
I only have one D&D podcast. And one day I will convince you to be on there, and I'm going to turn you into the Lucky Charms leprechaun.
I'm good.
That's me, Lucky Charms.
I've got enough books, movies, and games, and everything else of the sort. I don't need any more stuff to add to my collection.
Oh my gosh.
So after the whole big fight and the whole explosion and everything else, and how super powerful whatever Wright is and everything else, you couldn't defeat him. Then we see the Stan Lee cameo that we all miss, love, and wish.
At the beginning of our podcast, and this is going to be one of our longer podcasts, but at the beginning of this, I had mentioned, hey, and then I stopped myself, and because it was when you're talking about the executive producers of this movie, Kevin.
Yes.
And this is where I stopped myself because we were getting to the Stan Lee cameo. Did anybody get a little bit emotional during the Stan Lee cameo when they were watching this?
A little bit. It's
especially with what Stan Lee said at it. It was like a little bit of a goodbye from Stan Lee almost on film.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's just like, oh, my heart. Oh, yeah. Oh, this got me right in the feels. And it would have hit me so different if I would have seen this before Stan Lee's passing.
Mm-hmm.
John, how far are you in
another
the
movie you could watch with Stan Lee with his final. That's called Captain Marvel. You should watch that.
That's gonna be on the bottom shelf one day too.
John, how far are you in the Spider-Man video game?
I have 100%ed the main story as well as 2 of the DLCs.
Okay, so you've seen the cutscene where Peter and MJ meet at the restaurant and Stan Lee is like the chef or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
See, I started playing the game shortly after he died, and I hit that scene after he had passed, and I shed a tear. That one was, that one hit me bad.
Let me tell you something I enjoyed. I enjoyed how I played the video game full when it first came out, and not a single one of you asked me how I enjoyed the video game. But that's cool. I understand that. No one wants my opinion. Only on movies.
Kevin,
what?
You're not. We don't know that you're a gamer, bro. You're the movie guy. I didn't know that you even played video games. What system do you have?
I have a PS4, a PS3, the original Xbox, GameCube, Super Nintendo.
You lost me at Xbox.
The original Xbox, the one before it was bought out by Microsoft.
Microsoft made the first Xbox.
I know, but it was made by a different country. They switched countries. Then it went from USA to India or something.
I don't know. At any rate, I didn't know you were a gamer, bro. I'll hit you up after this, get your gamer tag, and I'll add you to my. Despite the fact there's not a whole lot we can do because you're on a 4 and I'm on a 5, but
no, it's fine because I don't play online gaming.
I still rock the 4. I haven't bought a 5.
That's what I get for trying to connect with you on that level, and that's the reason why it doesn't come up, Kevin. I try to connect you on that level. I show you love, and you're like, "Here's your love," and then you bottle me,
shut you down.
You take a bottle of Jameson and you just bottle me with it.
I wouldn't do it to I wouldn't do it to anyone. I wouldn't bottle someone with Jameson.
It'd be a waste of Jameson.
I know exactly. And
I know how you Irishmen think.
Sure you do. Oh yeah. Then we finally get the final scene, which was in the trailer that fanboys screamed and cried over with that. What was Branson? You know what it was.
Yeah, it was a reference to Carnage, the Maximum Carnage. He goes to see Cletus Cassidy, and the when I get out, you can be sure there will be carnage. That's because Cletus Cassidy eventually becomes another symbiote wielding villain called.
I meant the convenience store scene where you got that when you grabbed that thug that was demanding money and everything else. Was like, oh,
you're talking about We Are Venom scene.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I jumped ahead. Yeah,
yeah. What was that? Was that a comic book reference or something? Because I can't tell you how many people flipped out over that.
It was a reference. Okay, going back to the comics, because of their mutual hatred for Spider-Man, the Eddie and this kind of goes back to what you were mentioning earlier about how Eddie and the symbiote seem to work well together. In the comics, it's because they both hate Spider-Man so much. The symbiote feels rejected by Spider-Man. Eddie thinks Spider-Man ruined his life. And because the symbiote feeds off of negative emotions, when they come together, Eddie's got negative emotion for days towards Spider-Man. The symbiote hates Spider-Man because they feel rejected. And so they bond almost immediately. Eddie refers to himself as we whenever he talks about it. So the phrase, "We are Venom," is from that line. You really don't get that a whole lot in the movie because Eddie and the symbiote are talking to each other the whole time. In the comics, they're so perfectly put together that they speak almost as one person. He says we. He refers to himself plurally, but it's not like you've got Eddie talking and the symbiote talking. They're as one being. So it's almost like they're speaking in the royal we. So in the comics, they actually achieve symbiosis almost immediately because they both hate Spider-Man so much. So the reason the people went crazy is because that's a line straight out of the comics. He says, "We are Venom."
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah,
because like I said, when I first watched this in the theater, the entire audience just like lost their mind. They were screaming, they were roaring. I'm like, I don't understand. Why is everyone flipping out of their minds right now?
I just broke Branson.
We are Venom. Bum, 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 bum.
Okay, now I get it. Clever. Nice.
I'll be back in a second. Hang on.
This reminds me of a night of playing games at your house, Dallas.
I know, right?
Oh. We sing songs about that night.
Lord.
And what was that was the final credit, right? The Carnage.
The Carnage
with this
yes.
super
that was the
carrot top wig that he was wearing.
All right, so I don't know if we should go into this, but I did not care. How many of you guys have seen the second Venom movie?
I have.
I watched like the first 45 minutes or so, and I couldn't finish it.
And you know what? I'm just telling you, for some reason, that movie was inside this dumpster. I just didn't want to pull it out because I wasn't sure when we should, but it's in there.
We may have to pull
I haven't watched it yet. Please don't talk about it.
The only thing I'll mention is this. So
there's a scene that happens inside the movie where it.
I didn't care for the fact that they changed Cletus's hair. Like it was just so random. Like his hair was comic book accurate in the first movie, and in the second movie it just wasn't at all.
Yeah, that might have been because it was very obviously a wig. It was comic book accurate, but it was obviously fake.
I mean, yeah. But still, it was kind of annoying to me. So I liked the introduction clues. I thought that was a good teaser. That was a great segue to the second movie, but it was also a great because that's when you say Venom, people think about Carnage. That has to happen. And I know that you would prefer if it was like a teaser to Peter Parker somewhere, but we get that though.
We get that
technically.
Yes, I'm happy
in the post credit scene.
Right.
I'm talking about the very last scene of this film.
The post credit after the credits all end.
Crap,
Did you watch the post credit? Did you guys walk out of the
I
theater
did,
early?
but my brain went. What was it? Well,
At the very end, it says elsewhere is in another universe.
yeah. Okay, yeah, that was like
Spider-Verse.
oh my goodness, that was like the world's longest post credit. It was like what 4 minutes long.
Yeah, it was.
It was essentially a trailer for Into the Spider-Verse.
Yes,
Right.
it was. Which
It was
like,
it was a whole scene from the Into the Spider-Verse, which I love that movie.
Yes.
I didn't stay for any of the post-credit stuff, mid-credit, post-credit stuff.
yeah, it wasn't even
Looks
3
like you
hours
had
long.
to
Why you
pee.
took off so fast? You didn't drink that much soda.
Well, I was happy, and because it's not an actual Marvel movie, I didn't expect there to be.
Yeah, admit it. You have TTBS.
Okay, I was kind of wondering why you took off so fast.
So, and I had to order a new taco machine.
Yeah, because you keep throwing that freaking thing up in space for I don't know.
Well,
I don't know.
you
What
know
is your
what?
problem with tacos?
And I have no problem with tacos. I love tacos. I could eat tacos every day, all day for the rest of my life. I blame Glix because she is against me in everything I do. So
I'm sorry. We can re-roll the tape if you'd like, but I clearly remember the words "Glix launch it into space" coming out of your mouth last week.
No, I said hacks.
Hacks. I'm sorry. Hacks launch into space. So it
Last
wasn't
week,
Glix.
last episode, yes, that was mine. This current episode, no, that was Glix. I pushed the beam him up button, and we
The
lost
one that's on the
taco
other
machine.
side of the room from where you were.
Wait
No,
a second.
no.
Is Glix calling me fat? Is Glix saying that there is not enough room for the taco machine and me right now? I'm taking.
See, Glix is a horrible person.
I'm a little offended here.
I think you're taking this way too personal, John, because, I know I discovered your little secret escape and we boarded that up. Okay? That way you wouldn't escape. But launching the taco machines, our source of food, is unnecessary, mate. Okay? You don't have to keep doing that.
Bro, they still have we still have the tofu machine.
I don't eat freaking tofu. Who eats tofu here?
I do.
Yeah, you're from freaking Washington, that's why.
And just like that, scenes from Doug come to mind.
It's Quill Man.
Wasn't that movie in the dumpster too?
Any
Doug's first movie?
final thoughts on the film before we give our rating?
All I have left in me is the final rating, man.
Yeah. I want to give one last thought. I appreciated the final fight scene between Venom and Riot because of the fluidity of the symbiotes. And this is a bit of a spoiler for the second movie. I was missing that fluidity in the second movie with Carnage. But I thought it was a fun fight scene.
It was kind of cool to me. I kind of wish it would have made it a bit more. I don't know. There was something missing about the fight scene for me that was just didn't give me that all like, oh my goodness, this is awesome. It just felt like, yeah, okay. I mean, I like it when they fight because I wish there was more fighting inside. But when they had the fighting things like, oh, you could did better. It's another. I mean, video games do better than this.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Kevin. I didn't get the sense of awe from that fight scene. So I agree with Kevin on this one.
I thought it was cool that one part of the fight where Eddie and evil Jeff Bezos are punching each other while the symbiotes are swirling around them. But I think my issue with the fight scene is harkening back to the 90s Spider-Man cartoon. The way Spider-Man beats Venom in that cartoon is he lures Venom to a rocket launch. And the roar of the rockets of the rocket launch separate Eddie from the Venom symbiote, and that's how he beats him.
Right.
So to see two symbiotes fighting near a rocket that's about to fire off and symbiotes aren't separating, it was like, well, surely that's a really loud noise that he's next to, and
I think
completely unaffected.
I think the thought process was the proximity of it to the actual rocket itself and the flame, because when he fell from it, that's when he separated from Eddie.
That's true. Okay, yeah, I'll give you that.
I just realized what this movie could use more of: the neon lights from Godzilla vs. Kong. They could have used more neon lights.
I haven't watched it. Please don't spoil it for me.
And it could use what? Huh?
You
missed a Godzilla film?
I haven't seen Kong versus Godzilla.
Well, you've seen the trailers, so the show's in the trailers if you haven't seen trailers.
Neon
I haven't
lights
seen the
everywhere.
trailers.
Really? Okay.
It was in the posters.
I totally thought you were going to say it needed more cowbell.
I was trying to go there, but
We could use more cowbell too. And
Okay, let's go ahead and rate this thing.
we could use a rave party in this movie too.
all right.
We're getting up to Scrooge levels of recording time here, guys.
All right, Branson, since you are the guest today, you have the honors. What is your rating for the bottom shelf? Now, John, explain for us, what are the ratings for Branson? Remind him.
Well, Dallas, we have 4 ratings here on the rating section. We have the top shelf, when we can't understand why this was declared as a terrible movie. And we think that it is a fantastic movie, and we would introduce other people to it. Middle shelf is we can sort of understand why people disliked it. However, we personally enjoyed it and might show it to the right people. Bottom shelf is, yes, this is a bad movie, but it's a bad movie that I don't mind owning, and maybe I'll watch it once every other year or so. It has some validity to it. And then there's the dumpster fire, which is something that was subjected to humanity that nobody should ever experience.
All right, so with those in mind, Mr. Boykin, Mac Daddy Boykin.
Oh,
What?
wow.
Hetero
is-
husband number 2.
What is your rating?
I'm gonna have to go with bottom shelf, just shy of middle shelf. I think a lot of the issues I have with the movie really stem from my personal connection with the source material more so
Okay.
than the movie itself.
Mhm.
So I don't want to give it too much of a negative rating on that. But just for me personally, I feel like, as I've said before, if you take Spider-Man out of Venom's origin, you take out a facet of the character that I feel like is kind of vital to that character.
Mhm.
Now, if I had no knowledge of Venom walking into the movie, I probably would have enjoyed it more.
Mhm.
But I'm going to give it like technically bottom shelf, but just shy of.
You know, we've had a
Middle
couple
shelf.
movies that did that in the past, so I respect that. That's good. Good. Mr. Burnham, what is your rating, sir?
You should ask for me last. I don't know why you would ask. For me.
Okay, John, what's your
Yeah.
rating?
Okay, first of all, now that we've made that connection with the villain and Jeff Bezos, I really want to end this episode with the Bo Burnham song.
What?
Born in 1964, CEO, entrepreneur, it's Jeffrey Bezos. Anyway, it's just going through my head now. You okay there, Kevin? You're giggling like someone just tickled your Lucky Charms.
You broke the Irishman line.
Go ahead, mate. Sorry.
For me, I walked into it with the same with my new terrible movie mentality. I had fun with it. There were problems with it, but the fun I had with this movie outweighed the problems. I'm going to give it a top shelf. I bought it. I bought it on because I watched it for free, and then after I watched it, it was strong enough not only for me to buy the movie itself, but I bought the sequel with it. So, you know, it was strong enough to make me buy another movie sight unseen. So, yeah, top shelf.
All right, cool beans. You still want to go last, Kevin?
Yeah, I'll go last.
All right.
He wants to ruin everything for me. Is what he wants to do.
So for me, being a comic book fan, I understand Branson's point of view. I understand why he would have these going into it. And honestly, that's exactly what I was talking about front end. It was like when we all went into watching Last Airbender, is we have a deep connection. There were things that were robbed from it. Whereas this one, I have connections to Venom. I read Venom. I have the first set of Lethal Protector actually in a closet somewhere here. But was I entertained? Yes, a lot. Like I laughed at the jokes, the like a turd in the wind. Like I laughed at that. That was funny. You know, they reminded me of the to the pain scene in The Princess Bride. I'm gonna put it top shelf. I'm putting it up there. Kevin, It's up to you to either change our minds or something. I don't know, man. What you got, bud?
Okay. I probably need to discuss what we think, what considers a true top shelf and bottom shelf and so forth. As you guys know, as long as I've been on this podcast, I have not put anything on a middle or a top shelf.
Correct.
At all. I'm more than happy to burn movies. I love burning and throwing things in dumpsters, and I love.
That's one of my favorite episodes of your YouTube channel, by the way. When you burned the fog, one of my favorite episodes.
Yes.
Now, is this the new fog or the old fog?
The new one.
The new one.
Oh yeah, that one needs to be burnt.
Yeah.
He literally put it in his grill and lit it on fire on the camera.
I approve of this action, sir.
Thank you. Greatly appreciate it. And for things, it has to have a click to it. Something has to be coherent, and it has to actually be invested 100%. For me to put it at the top shelf, I wasn't invested 100% because there were. I don't mind plot holes in films. I know it's expected and so forth. This one just had a bit too much, and there was a lot of things that wasn't explained. But at the same time, I was entertained. I did have fun with it, and there was lots of parts I laughed and so forth. Was it cheeky? Yeah. Cheesy? Sure. And something I can't say is pure rubbish. Like, no one should ever see it. I think someone should at least see it once. And if you're a diehard comic book fan, I can see people throwing this in a fire and putting it on the bottom shelf. I'm personally first time for me putting it in the middle shelf because it's something I wouldn't mind showing to people just to show how crazy Tom Hardy can be, and he can, as much as a top A-list actor he is, he did a Nicolas Cage on this, and he showed how he overacted in scenes from the very first time when he introduced to Dr. Evil Jeff Bezos when he was talking to him in the interview. It was just so funny.
1964 CEO entrepreneur, it's Jeffrey Bezos.
Those certain scenes were fun. The scenes that weren't fun was watching him fight in the dark. And I loved when he shows his full suit because I'm like, that's what everyone wanted to see in Venom. Even if you're not a fan of Venom, you want to see his suit. We got to see the suit. We got to see certain things. It's far from a top shelf, not quite, but it's middle shelf. I know it's just like a unanimous top shelf. So I guess
no, because Branson put it on a bottom shelf, so we got a spread. So I think this one's going to go out to the Facebook.
We can now technically that's the case. It's two votes for top shelf. We've not been in this situation before yet. We need to figure that. It's two votes for top shelf, one vote for middle shelf, one vote for bottom. We have majority rule.
Yeah, but the thing is we only have a 50% on the vote here.
Okay.
So
to be fair, I was just shy of middle shelf. It was.
But I'm not going to ask you to change your vote. Just
you can go ahead and change it. That's cool.
We're not 50. Russian. Okay.
Russian like a Russian.
All right. So in the Devoted Geek Life, we'll post up a poll of asking people top, bottom, or dumpster fire, and we will numerically add those numbers to our votes. And so at the end of this episode, Glix will come back. Sorry, John, and tell us the actual final rating of the movie for us.
All right. Real quick before we go to the weak connections, there was something I forgot to say when we were talking about the movie that I just now remembered. The funniest line of this movie, and I died laughing about it, was when she gives the symbiote back to Eddie Brock. She goes, I think I just ate that guy's head.
That was funny.
So yeah, just wanted to put that out there because I feel like I would be doing myself a disservice by not mentioning that.
I feel like I'm incepting something because I could have sworn that there was a scene where like Hardy is like vomiting because he ate somebody's head. But that didn't happen in this movie. But I swear I saw that.
He vomits because he ate raw old chicken.
Maybe that's what it was.
Yes, in the trash can because he was throwing all kinds of food inside the system because I guess he was trying to the
symbiote was hungry.
Yes, and was trying to connect with his body form. So yeah.
All
right, let's swing on over to the weak connections and see what we can pull out of this that is beneficial.
This is a weak connection.
I have to ask, is that Carlos singing on there?
That's Matt.
That's Matt?
That's Matt.
I've always been picturing it as Carlos doing that.
Nope, that's a big old Mexican.
Oh, well, hello, Matt. You probably don't listen to the show, but
He does not.
We appreciate your contribution to this show.
Yep, that's Mateo. So, all right, welcome to the Week Connection. Week Connection is a segment of the show where we are shamelessly robbing from our friends over at playing games with Strangers and Aliens.
Actually, we're not robbing because I did ask Ben's permission to use that title before we started using it. So
true story. So, but
you can't rob the Holy Spirit. So yeah.
we talk about some weak connections to some spiritual aspects of the movies that we watch, and sometimes they're insightful. Sometimes it's a weak connection. So it's kind of a round table conversation aspect of it. For me, one of the things that I kind of gleaned from this was the relationship between Eddie and Venom himself. Again, you see on the front end, we talked about that. The beginning of the movie, Venom's like, I'm going to eat everybody's head, and you're going to do exactly what I say. But towards the end, you have this bromance, this friendship taking place. And what it was is that Venom found community. He found somebody of like mind, and Eddie was able to show him a different aspect of the world. Venom being a loser, a self-proclaimed loser on his own planet, and growing up in an environment of hate and anger and just we're going to eat everything, mostly chicken heads. He was that way, but meeting Eddie changed his mindset. And there are people in our lives that are very angry. They're going through stuff, and a lot of it is stemming from a place of terrible environments. And all there it is they're looking for. They need somebody to step in their life. And go, hey, let me just change your perspective. Let me change the way that you see things and do things. And that's something that we're all called to do, is to help change the view and perspective of those around us, to see things better, to see that there's hope, see that there's life. This show is an extension of Geek Devotions. And our whole thing is just letting people know loves. And a lot of times it's changing your perspective and understanding that life may suck, but you're not alone. You don't have to be alone. And because you are alone at the moment does not mean you have to be angry and lash out at other people. There's hope. But in order for that to happen is we have to be carriers of hope. We have to be willing to reach out to other people who maybe they're slimy looking and eat people's heads. I mean, that's weird. If you do that, we should have conversations, but we want to love you. That's my weak connection for us.
I have one this week.
Mm-hmm.
I most of the time don't, but I had one hit me at the beginning of the show, and I need to go where the spirit leads me.
Do it.
This movie is kind of an allegory. Eddie Brock, from the beginning of the movie, he wanted to expose the evils of this world. He saw evil in this world. He was using his show as a platform to expose it. Granted, it was for his own self-promotion, but even after the fact, there was a part of him that wanted to overcome the evil in the world by exposing it. But he did not have the capacity to beat it until he had to receive external help into his life in order to overcome what the things that were going on. And I would like to bring in some scripture with 1 John 4:4, and it says, "Little children, you are from God and have overcome them, for he who is in you is greater than he who is in this world." So he needed to have something within him in order to overcome the Jeff Bezos of the world.
I like it.
Very nice.
All right. Kevin, you got anything?
I don't have anything. I know Jeff Bezos in this movie had a weak connection, and he had bad theology.
There is one moment where it's towards the end, right before the final fight, where Eddie and Venom finally are working well together, and they're going to fight Riot. And Eddie's asking Venom, what chance do we have to actually beat this guy? And Venom basically says, "There's no way. I mean, we're going to get our butts kicked." And Eddie says the one big cuss word in the film, but he says, "Okay,
right.
Let's go save the world."
Right.
That whole concept of there's no way we're going to win, but we're going to go do it anyway because it's what you're supposed to do. That, courage in the face of adversity, I think, is something that we see a lot in scripture and that we live a lot in the Christian life. A lot of David versus Goliath moments where we go up against odds that we're not supposed to survive, that we're not supposed to overcome. And yet, through God's help and through God's purposes, we do. And so that was a heroic moment, and I think an inspiration that no matter how big the evil is that we face, whether it's depression, anxiety, sin, gooey alien monsters trying to take over the world, whatever, you do what God calls you to do. You do what's right because it's right. It's not a question of, oh, well, I won't be successful. It's a question of what is right. What do I need to go do? And so I appreciate that moment and the lesson that it teaches, that it's not about how big the enemy is. It's about how big our God is.
Yeah, it's great. Love it. All right. Well, that's our week connection. Love to hear from you guys. Love to hear you guys' thoughts on this movie. Do you like it? For you, is it a top shelf, middle shelf, or bottom shelf? You'll find out our final rating, including the thoughts from the amazing folks of the Devoted Geek Life, which is a Facebook group connected to Geek Devotions. And at the end of this episode, Branson,
are we just doing the Facebook group, or are we going to have the Discord on there as well? Because there's some people on the Discord that aren't on the Facebook.
That's a great idea. We'll add it to the Discord. So I will make that happen. So, yeah. So we'll add all that in. Branson, if you could let people know what you do and how they can get hold of you if they want to.
Alrighty. I have the distinct pleasure of being a comic book reviewer for Geek Devotions. My little corner of Com Talk is Bees, Views, and Reviews. It's where I promote faith-based, family-friendly comics and the creators that make them. And I've actually had a really cool opportunity to interview a lot of content creators here lately. So my past few episodes have been with the actual creators. So I've been able to promote them and not just their stuff.
Awesome.
Has Jeff put you in contact with Mike Behrens yet?
Not particularly, but I have listened to a few of his shows, and we're Facebook friends now. So
wow,
moving up in the world.
But I have thoroughly enjoyed being able to follow along with them. But if you have a family-friendly or faith-based comic that you would like promoted, whether it's one that you yourself have written or someone that you know of that's written, or one that you just really, really liked, you can email me, branson.boykin@gmail.com. Send that my way. Or you can also contact Dallas through Geek Devotion so he can pass this stuff along to me. But that's kind of my thing.
He also takes requests on the Geek Devotions Discord. That's how.
Yes, thank you. I always forget about Discord. I take requests on Discord as well. Actually, one of the reviews I did was recommended by John himself when I did Time Flies.
Yep.
So
very cool. Kevin, what do you do and how can people connect with you?
Thank you for private message me certain things because I'm trying not to laugh.
You're welcome.
If you wish to see me, and if you wish to whatever, I'm on YouTube.
He's a very sexy man too. You should see him.
I am jealous of both your beards.
You can
I
grow
find
them.
him rather quite dapper.
Thank you. Greatly appreciate it. Speaking of dapper, you can see me more dapper on YouTube, and you can see me on Instagram. I am also sometimes, if I feel like a good mood, I'll give something to Geek Devotions to put a review on. And if you wish to see other movie reviews because you don't like to listen to my voice or watch a video, I'm also on Letterboxd, so you could follow me there.
Cool. Links in the description down below. John, do you have your master link available for everybody to connect to the 5,000 projects you do?
Just see the links below. I can't. I just can't.
Mezzarine.
Pick one thing to promote today.
Oh, I'm always going to promote playing games with strangers.
Playing games with
No,
strangers.
really? Like only 15 times?
You know there's no danger. So come on in. You are friends. Playing games with strangers. Yes! I cannot help myself. I do a drum solo in the air every time I hear that song.
So, yeah, go check that out.
Cool beans. And I'm Dallas with Geek Devotions. And if you want to connect with me, just check out geekdevotions.com or find Geek Devotions on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. and TikTok. And just look for Geek Devotions. We're trying to make it really easy for you guys to find us. And like we said in the front of the show, the whole point of this show, we talk about terrible movies and we have fun. We may razz each other a little bit, but our whole point is to let people know love and they're cared for. So if you made it this far, congratulations. But we love you, care about you. Don't give up. So,
you know what else we're on? Huh? We're not on Google. Just figure I would say that.
Oh yeah, we're not on Google.
We do rely on your word of mouth. Recommend us to a friend, please.
Yes.
Subscribe, comment, all that stuff.
And tell you what, leave a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And when you do, we'll read it on air at the beginning of the show.
And if you want, this is coming from me, the Dapper Man. Just if you're a family, friend, or whatever, just snatch their phone, subscribe. Just head there and it's like, oh, wait, why am I subscribed to this? We want to listen to this. See? Boom. Easy, free promotion. Right there. Especially with having a family of 12. You can do it. You can do it.
Actually, if somebody writes in with a story about how they guerrilla subscribed on somebody else's phone, I will read that on the air.
Please do.
But tell the story. Tell us
tell the whole story.
Make it entertaining. It will be a whole episode of its own, probably. All right, guys.
So
until next time,
stay devoted.
Peace and love.
Peace and love.
Attention. Final results from our poll in the Devoted Geek Life Facebook group. The official rating of the 2018 film, Venom, is middle shelf. Thank you to everyone who voted and for those who have listened to this episode. Stay connected with the Bottom Shelf by following our Instagram and Facebook. Simply search for the Bottom Shelf Podcast. End communication in 3, 2, 1... Wait. Why is there yet another Torco machine floating out here?
Shut up, Glicks.